at dawn this morning, and I was looking at the shape of the bars on the window, and the moonlight was shining through just right. So I started getting horny. Then, well, you know. But when I looked up from my bed, I saw him standing there. You probably know him. He's the youngest guard here. He was just standing outside of my cell, watching me. The look on his face through these bars was sickening. It made me want to die. I just want to end it.
Then shameless tramp.
Shameless tramp? Me? You're talking about me? And to think he's around the same age as my younger brother!
Oh, wait, maybe he's not, because demons don't always look their actual age. Still, what a horrible thing to say!
Can I take on this many of them at once? Love breathing! Fifth form! Swaying love! Spoiled claw!
This shouldn't take long!
Love breathing first form! Shivers! A first love!
Also, Jay says thank you for coming on.
Great.
Yeah. Just want to make sure you heard that. but everything's good. Night's kind of quiet a little bit.
I mean, I just got back from a session, so
Well, as long as it was interesting, I mean, you know, there's that.
yeah, always good to have work.
Hey, being productive is a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
So nothing wrong with that. All right, so I guess we can go ahead and get this thing started. So, you know me, so my name is Phil. I'm the host of the Conversation Podcast. I am joined by a very special guest today. Her name is Kira Buckland. You might know her in some roles like Demon Slayer and JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Won so many awards after doing some research on you. Glad to have you here tonight with me.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Good. All right, so before we get started, I wanted to start off with a little icebreaker.
Sure.
So listen, I've been looking at all your hairstyles. I was wondering, what was like the favorite hairstyle you done for your anime and stuff? Like, because I know you had different wigs on back then when you were like, you know, going through like your voice actor career. What was your favorite style?
Well, my favorite wig is the most recent Jolyne wig that I had, because it was something that I commissioned a really awesome cosplayer friend of mine to make, specifically after I booked the role of Jolyne. And this friend spent probably 100 hours on that wig and like hand sewed in the wefts and all this crazy stuff. Her name is Silence Drowns online. So yeah, I just want to give her a shout out because that was really, really great work that she did on that.
Wow. Man, I wish I was there to see that. Man, I tell you, y'all do a lot of amazing work. That's what I be telling most people. There's more to you guys than just voice acting. Y'all do a lot of stuff outside.
Yeah, I think a lot of people who are in this field have different creative aspirations and creative endeavors. I know a lot of people who are artists as well. I'm not particularly good at that, but I do like crochet, and I do obviously, like, I'm a streamer, I'm a VTuber, so there's a lot of people who do content creation, all sorts of stuff.
Well, as long as you're doing something, right? So there's nothing wrong with that. And listen, if you ever decide to do wigs, then well, yeah, you know, if you want to do something like different, you can. Like, the possibilities are endless.
Yeah, I know a little about wig styling, mostly just self-taught from YouTube, to be honest. You know, sometimes I just take cheap Amazon wigs and style them or whatever. I'm not super good at it. I know some people are.
I got you. But hey, Kira, at least you did your best, right? That's all we can ask for.
Sure.
So listen, don't doubt yourself, all right?
No, I'm good. I'm just being realistic that, you know, there's always people who are very, very great at certain skills, and then there's just kind of, you know, doing your best and saying, well, I tried.
I understand. All right. So now that we're done with the icebreaker, so since I know that y'all know, I think you're here for an hour, if I can, if that's correct.
Mhm.
Um, so thing is, instead of usually when I from the previous work actors, I've done 20 questions. Now for you, it's only going to be 12. It's only going to be 12 questions.
Okay.
But hey, even in 12 questions, there's still a lot to uncover.
Yeah.
So we're gonna make it work. So let's start with section one: personal journey and growth. Now you become one of the most recognized voices in anime and gaming. Sorry, gaming. But let's go back a little bit. What originally drew you into voice acting?
I honestly just kind of wanted to be in anime and games. It's really different for everyone. A lot of people came from theater, a lot of people came from wanting to do TV and film. I thought I specifically wanted to be in games and dubbing and stuff like that. So thankfully, that's kind of where my career ended up taking me. I'd still love to do more stuff like commercial and narration, but just kind of what I trained in and what I ended up really working in is character work. So, anime, video games, that sort of thing.
I understand, and as I said before, you all got to start somewhere. Sometimes we find ourselves doing like, this. Yeah, have you ever heard of imposter syndrome before?
Oh, yeah, I wrote an article about it.
Really?
Yeah, it's mostly just trying to help new voice actors in dealing with those kind of feelings because I think it's very, very common. But whenever people go through it, they assume that they're the only person who's dealing with this and that everyone else just has it together. And it's very much like, no, that's not the case. Like even the people that you look up to, the people that I look up to are all dealing with this stuff on a regular basis.
Right. And it's really tough, like I'll say so myself. When I was in college, I graduated from college 2 years ago. I got a bachelor's in media production journalism. First off,
Congratulations.
thanks. That's how I came up with this whole thing. Thing is, I started with doing like sports management, but I didn't
Mm,
realize that's really not who I am. Sports management. I do maybe doing sports management in games and stuff, but that's not for me. I decided to go back and think about how did this all begin for me in the beginning. Thing is, I'm Kira. My whole love for pop culture started with Batman the animated series, and it's been really interesting to see how many shows I watched over the years when I was a kid. So I just kind of figured, me, I want to get into digital media production and journalism,
yeah,
and
that's
that's
great.
and that's how I came in doing this kind of stuff now, because now I'm doing like this podcasting, which is like really blowing up a lot. Because when I first started doing it, like back when I started in June, it like my first episode blew up to 1,000 views,
Nice.
and I was like, I guess I better keep doing it.
Yeah, and ultimately, as long as you're enjoying it and you're feeling creatively fulfilled, that's what's so important.
Exactly. Listen, sometimes with imposter syndrome, you got to go talk to the right people. I've talked to the right people. They saw that I'm in love with all these comics and posters and everything, so they told me, you should get into media production and journalism.
That's great.
So
Yeah, it's really cool when existing media can inspire us to, just creatively and whatnot.
of course, and I think the more we keep talking to people who might want to get into voice acting or journalism or any other kind of career, they'll be successful.
Yeah.
Number two, when you think about your early years in the industry versus now, what's the biggest lesson you've learned about growth and longevity? Because when I did some research on you, you said it says that you won your first, I don't know, what it was that you won back then. You won your first voice actor award or something, or wait, I think it was cosplay award.
I mean, there were, like voice acting contests at conventions back then and stuff, but in terms of going back to your question, the most important lesson, I think it really comes down to that the most important thing is to be a good actor, because it's so easy, especially when you're new and even after your experience, to get caught up in the idea of like, if I just do this and that right, if I just network with the right people, if I can just get in with this casting company, if I can just get in with this agency, like all this kind of stuff. And sure, those things are important, or, a lot of what I see with a lot of people these days, and thankfully it's not, this wasn't as much of a thing when I first started, but now people are so heavily focused on social media. The idea, well, I've got to grow my brand on social media. And it depends what you want to do, because in some fields that is really important. If for content creation, absolutely. Like when I approach things as like a streamer and VTuber, I have to post on social media to try to grow that brand. But for acting specifically, I think a lot of people focus so much on things that ultimately won't matter if they don't have the skills to back it up. Because whenever somebody says, "Oh, I just want to know, I'm sure there's some secret to just get into an anime studio or something." It's like, "Okay, if you got an audition tomorrow, hypothetically, like the stars aligned and you just managed to get a call back or an audition or something, would you book against the people who are doing this as their full-time profession and have been for many years?" Because if not, then it doesn't matter in a way like, oh, you did all this and tried to get your foot in the door, because if ultimately your skills aren't competitive, then having that opportunity is kind of wasted if you're not ready yet, right? So I don't know. That was kind of like the thing that I wish I had focused on a little bit more early on, was just like really training as an actor and observing media. I learned a lot even from just watching actors' performances in live action shows and things like that.
Okay. Yeah, because I know. Listen, before you get get into like your new career, people want to see what you've done over the last over the last decade before you go in and start voicing out. Because I know there are so many people who just start like auditioning, but they don't have all the background and the work they've done before to back it up. And I think with me in this case, like I've been doing this for 2 years. Because when I started doing this whole thing, talking to you guys, I had to really think and draw out of my college playbook, because I thought to myself, and you're gonna like this, Kira. Back in school, I did 3 documentaries,
Nice.
and I just kind of figured, I like talking to people. And now I got so many people who are coming to me and wanting to talk to me, because now I'm planning for season 2 of this show. And now it's like, oh shoot. Oh, now they're asking me to join panels.
Oh, fun.
So we just need to talk more about it. Thing is, I'm also creating my own panels myself, because thing is, season 2 is gonna be bigger than season 1 right now. But here's the thing: season 1 does have some very good moments in here. Listen, Kira, don't judge me, okay? But one of my episodes, I did get emotional and cry a little bit, because this girl's story touched my heart. So, but don't judge me here.
Hey, nothing wrong with that.
No, just but it's part of being human. But yeah, the
Sure.
more the more I talk to people, the more opportunities is going to be out there for me. So
Yeah, that's
got
great.
got to keep it going. Um, Number 3, you've balanced big studio titles, indie work, and fan projects. As you told me, you just came back from a project. What keeps your passion alive after so many iconic roles?
I think ultimately you just have to love performing, and you have to love acting, and getting to inhabit these different characters and worlds. And there are going to be days for everyone, no matter what you do, where it feels like a job, because maybe you're going through something in your personal life, or you're just like super burned out because you've been working nonstop without a day off, or um sometimes you're just, maybe you're working on things that you personally don't find super creatively fulfilling, or you're working with a client who is really difficult to please. There's so many different factors, right? But I think ultimately it comes back down to being able to be in a creative field in the entertainment industry and make a living in that field is a huge, huge blessing, especially right now when so many people are being laid off from jobs in fields like that. So many companies are turning to automation. I don't know. I just feel really fortunate that we're able to work on this kind of stuff. And I think another thing that's really helpful too is that I, as well as a lot of other actors who work on anime and games, we go to these conventions, like these Comic Cons, and we meet people who talk about how much that show or that game meant to them. And, as we're recording, it's like it's usually just us, no other actors in the booth. We're just kind of we're getting the rundown by the director. For anime, we're only seeing the specific scenes that our character is in. So for something like the recent Demon Slayer movie, I had no clue like what went on the rest of the movie because Mitsuri was only in a couple little scenes, and so I'm just seeing those. So it's really cool to see everything come together and meet these people at conventions who say, this show meant so much to me. Like this project was really special. I relate to this character. And obviously, like as like English dubbing voice actors, we're only such a small part of that because ultimately we're trying to kind of maintain the integrity of the original performance the Japanese actor did and tell the creator's story. But, even just being a part of bringing that to life is really special.
Okay. By the way, yes, I did see y'all at the Demon Slayer Infinity Class Award premiere. It was a bit. Listen, I couldn't make it. I'm like I said, I'm on the other side of the country. I couldn't make it to California, unfortunately. And
Well,
plus,
but they showed it everywhere. So if you got to see it locally, that's what matters, right?
yeah, I couldn't see it locally either because I didn't have the money to go to movies because I've been focused on getting this off the ground. But I do have plans to
That's
see it
fair.
but can I tell you a little secret?
Sure.
They're trying to add it to the Oscars.
What? That's
Yeah.
wild.
I mean, Kira, have you seen how much money y'all made off of this film? It's almost like hundreds of billions of dollars.
Well, I mean, obviously that's not, the actors. It's like irrelevant to the actors, but I'm glad that the film itself did well. And it's super cool that anime is getting mainstream recognition. Like,
Hmm.
I remember back when anime was just sort of seen as like this, like, I don't know, is this the thing that nerdy people liked or whatever? But now it's very mainstream. I'm told that with the younger generation, even the cool kids like anime now, and they've got like their little Demon Slayer backpacks and stuff.
I've seen so many Demon Slayer cosplays on social media. I was like, every time I flip the screen, there's another Demon Slayer cosplay taking over my phone. I was like, stop that. Stop. I get it. Y'all watched the movie. What do you want me to do?
It's all right. I am also very obnoxious about my favorite movie.
It's crazy stuff. I'll be honest, Kira, I barely watched Demon Slayer. I only watched like the first two episodes, but now that I'm talking to you, I really should get into it. You know,
Yeah,
I'm
I was just kind of using that as an example as to like how it's, it can be rejuvenating to hear people say that a project, just to be a part of a project like that and hear people talk about how much it means to them. Also, it's just a really good show. The animation is awesome. The cast, they really did a good job with the casting.
I could tell. And listen, when I saw you guys, I'm geeking out here. I saw all of your outfits. Did you see Alex Lee's outfit? That was
Oh
amazing.
yeah.
I was like, oh, I need to pay attention to you guys. I mean, listen, when I see y'all with all these crazy outfits for these movie premieres, I was like, man, they must spend like 100 hours making these outfits. It's
I mean, I think yeah, he probably commissioned somebody to do that, but it's crazy. Like I mean, that's just so cool.
listen, I guarantee you, Kira, every time y'all go home, y'all just come up with an idea. Like, do you ever just sit back act in a lab, like you pretend like you're in a lab and feel like you just waiting for something amazing to happen?
Yeah, but I think also you can't sit back and wait for something amazing to happen. Like you kind of have
Yeah.
to create that for yourself. I mean, so many of the
Mhm.
decisions are it's like, I want to do this thing or whatever. I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna set my mind to it.
Yeah, like yeah, I probably should. I've used the wrong language. I mean, like you just doing something, you just think something amazing is about to happen once you finish it. Because I know so many people who are like so many artists. They just go home and they feel like they can work on hours without. Imagine yourself being in the zone and you have no distractions. You're doing your own thing.
Hmm.
So it's kind of fun to see it because here's the thing. I'd be like, I don't know what they're cooking in here. I just want to take a little peek, please. Just one peek. Hey, may I be like, maybe if I just like look, I can see what they're building. And I was like, they really built this? I'm the one who saw it first. Sorry, I'm geeking out here.
Yeah,
So hope you don't mind me. Sorry, I don't know. That was embarrassing.
you're all good.
So we're on that section. Now we're in section 2, which is going to be your favorite character deep dive.
Okay.
So we're going to start with JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Stone Ocean. Uh, listen, correct me if I say their name wrong, okay? Jolyne Cujoh. Did I say that right?
Yeah, Jolyne Cujoh, you did well.
Okay, good.
Jolyne. I'm like, why?
Okay, okay. Jolyne is bold, emotional, and incredibly layered. Now, how did you find the right balance between her toughness and vulnerability?
Well, so one thing that was really unique about JoJo in comparison to a lot of the other projects that I worked on is I read all of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Like I read the manga. I was, a lot of people know I was a JoJo fan for many years. Like I even got a Joestar tattoo, all this kind of stuff. I used to run like JoJo panels at conventions, cosplay meetups, all this kind of stuff. So I was really, really into the world of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. And so because I had read all of Stone Ocean, I felt like I had a pretty good grasp on where I would want to take the character if I got to audition, when it got animated someday. And obviously that's not the case for like the grand majority of stuff I work on. A lot of times when we audition for stuff, we don't even know what it is. Like it's all kind of like code named and stuff. But in that particular case, because it was something that I had wanted to do for so long and something that I was so personally into, then I felt really at home with kind of like this is who the character is, this is where we're going. And obviously with anything, especially that, I just really wanted to honor the original Japanese performance because she was also a big JoJo fan. Like Jolyne was her dream role too, and she did such an incredible job. It was like the bar was set insanely high. I just had to live up to that the best I could.
Okay. Did you ever get a chance to meet her in person? I mean,
No, I wish.
mm,
She
I
liked
get
one
you.
of my posts, I think, once, or whoever manages her account did. And so I was like, oh, cool, somebody noticed me. But I don't know, like, it would be cool. Like, hopefully she knows that, like, the English actor
You
for JoJo was also a big JoJo fan.
I was like, you should. I mean, do you know like how many voice actors meet the Japanese voice actors too? Like, I just saw Justin Barner with Daki Yamashita like earlier this year
Oh,
for the
wow.
final season.
Yeah, I feel like it's something that has to be arranged, probably like, they're both appearing at a convention and on a panel together. Because from my understanding, it works very differently in Japan for like conventions and public appearances, where here it's like it's very independent. It's like people can just reach out to like booking agencies and say like, hey, I want to book this actor for a convention or whatever. But I think in Japan, it's like, I don't know, it might have to be done like through official like companies or management or something. I don't know. I think
Mm.
it's like more challenging to
It,
get
it
guests.
it is kind of difficult because some of those emails they don't like it's hard to respond to emails and all that stuff late because they got so much other stuff going on. It's kind of tricky and you know pretty much if I was the one who just sent an email, it's probably just going to get lost in the inbox.
Yeah, or I think I don't know, it might just be like the industry and the way conventions and public appearances work are like a little bit different over there than here, if I had to guess. But it would be cool to meet her someday.
I think you will meet her, Kira. I mean, listen, you got all the time in the world to meet her. All the time, right? I believe you will. So I'll be rooting for you on this side, okay?
Okay.
Were there any lines or moments in Stone Ocean that resonated with you personally? Something you carried beyond the booth?
Well, I think JoJo just has so many just amazing moments in general. One thing I sometimes talk about in the context of JoJo is like there's kind of a running theme through a lot of the parts about sort of taking control of and shaping your own destiny. And that's kind of like what I tried to do, with like working on projects I really wanted to work on, or, just doing certain things I really wanted to do, buying a DeLorean, like whatever it is, just being like, hey, I really want to do this thing. What do I need to do to make it happen? And sometimes, like a lot of times, it doesn't always work, right? You have like a wrench thrown in your plan or this or that. But even just thinking, like, I don't know, for things I really want to do now, it's like, okay, what can I do? Like, I want to grow my brand as a VTuber. It's like, okay, I'm gonna try to do like this and this thing. I need to try to stream more consistently. I need to like, register like accounts for that on social media, like all this kind of stuff. Like, you have to sort of just decide, this is where I want to end up. This is like the destiny that I want to manifest. So how can I get there?
You just gotta do it step by step. Listen, and going back to the previous question as well, and adding on to this, like I said, you have to do research, read the manga. And you read the entire manga, which is what's really impressive because I didn't. Because here's the thing: most voice actors won't read the manga; they just go straight to it. Now they will do research on the character. I will say that some of them do research. Listen, with me, I'm researching stuff like because when I have these interviews, like I researched about you before you came on, like because kids name, if I didn't have the questions in front of me, we would just be talking like, "Oh, how's your day going?"
Sure,
I don't want to be like that. Listen, every time when I hear someone coming up, I do my research and I have receipts ready for you.
No,
So
that's super smart to be prepared.
yeah, and guess what? People are saying you're a regular book nut. What's
Huh?
wrong with me? They call me a regular book nut, like crazy
Okay.
person, crazy person.
Yeah.
That's what they're saying in the DMs. I was like, that's fine. I mean, I like reading stuff.
I will
So
say in regards to preparing for roles and stuff is that like a lot of times we don't really get the opportunity to do that because we're often not told what we're working on ahead of time. We don't get scripts ahead of time. JoJo was kind of like a special case because I personally loved the series, so I just read it because I wanted to, like long before. I think they were still like animating part three at the time back when I had read it or whatever. But so much of the time, it's like we audition for projects, maybe through our agencies or this or that. And sometimes we don't know what it is, or maybe we can sort of figure it out. Or like if it's an anime, maybe they'll tell us what it is and give it like a clip of the original or something to reference. But so much of the time it's just kind of like you don't know what you're really doing until you go in. So you have to be really good at like cold reading and just be able to kind of interpret a script right then and there.
okay. And yeah, some directors don't give you all the information. It's up to you guys to go research the character. And I think the more homework you guys do, and I can tell Kira you love doing your homework. So you want to keep doing that so you be ready for future projects. But yeah, I think what's most important that you do the research, have everything in front of you. Make sure you know what the character's like. Make sure you're ready when you go inside the voice box. You just take it from there.
Yeah, but like a lot of times we're not given that is the thing. Like we're given it once we get to the session. So literally like we'll go in and the director will explain what project we're working on, and oh, you'll be playing this character and this is kind of like who they are and their role in the story. And then you get the script. If it's an anime, you watch the line in Japanese, get an idea of the timing and intensity, and then you try take. So it's like it's one of those things where it's like you just have to be adaptable because so much of the time you don't get to prepare because it's not like a play or a TV show or something where it's like, well, they have to, you have to memorize lines and do your like acting homework and stuff. It's like a lot of times you literally just aren't able to do that. So that's where just kind of like having that training and like honing your acting instinct in advance can be really helpful to prepare you for being on the job.
Of course, of course. All right. We have another character deep dive for you. Um, near Automata 2B.
Okay.
2B, yeah, 2B has such a subtle emotional control under a robotic surface. How did you find humanity in a character built to hide it?
I think that sometimes hiding that, like, having a role where you can't go as big with your emotions. You can't have as much emotional variation. That can actually be more challenging because you don't want it to sound too monotone. You don't want it to sound boring. You kind of have to find that balance of how can I can't let my emotions show too much, but there has to be something underneath it. So I don't know how everyone tends to approach this, but one trick that I sort of use sometimes is I think, okay, so the character, like, they're acting very stoic, very flat, but what are they thinking underneath? And sometimes just imagining, like, okay, but what's really going through your character's mind, that can help add that little nuance to it.
Hey, sometimes you don't need to show all your emotions in those things if they saying you can't show it. Because one thing I will tell you is, man, I told this to the last voice actor I talked to on Monday. It's always the quiet ones. So it's the quiet ones. I mean, yeah, like it's like, oh my gosh, they're so quiet in here, but they're showing like their expressions on the outside, not too much. But what are they hiding on the inside here?
Who knows?
That's the it's that's something, but but here's the thing: not knowing is part of the fun.
Yeah.
Dude, I don't want to know. Listen, Kira, I want to be surprised when it happens. Don't spoil. Don't like. I don't want people to spoil it for me. I want to know what happens next. But I
Well,
guess
just don't Google the name of any character in a show you're watching or a game you're playing because
that
the
that
spoilers will come up in the autocorrect.
that or watching the manga. Reading the manga too. That ruined it also. So, um, let's see. Number 7. That role has touched millions of fans. How has 2B changed the way you see storytelling or your own artistry?
Well, one of the interesting things about NieR, because there's a lot of interesting things, is that I think people, at least at first, went into playing the game because they're like, oh, it's like hot android ladies and you get to like beat up robots. And, there's this dude who people thought looked like Sephiroth at the time. And, and oh, it's got like cool like music and fight scenes and all this kind of stuff. And yeah, it does. But what I think people maybe aren't prepared for, or at least weren't when the game first came out, is that it's really going to hit you in the feels, as I say. Like it's going to hit you emotionally, and there's a lot of stuff, especially if you play through the different routes. There's a lot of stuff that it leaves you thinking about, and you go from like, oh man, I'm just gonna like shoot at stuff, beat stuff up, whatever, to like what is humanity? What does it mean to be human, right? But
Right.
I think Yoko Taro is just such a masterful storyteller, and I will be honest, I haven't played his other games, just NieR Automata, but I know that from people who are like, because there's people who are really into Drakengard and original NieR and stuff like that, and they're like, yeah, it's all these games kind of make you like think and question things. And I don't know, I would love to know just what goes on inside his mind.
Okay. Okay. And listen for you talk. I wanted to ask you something extra, Kara, if you can let me.
Sure.
Have you ever got emotional playing a game where the storyline does get a little sad? Did you ever get emotional once?
Yeah, absolutely. I have cried over games like so many times. I cried over a ship in Genshin Impact, like a literal boat.
Really?
Yeah, I forgot because it was one of those like limited time seasonal like summer events or something, and they had this ship, and the ship was like sentient, and then at some point you had to say goodbye to it or whatever, and it was like this emotional like farewell. I was like, oh
Oh my God! Say you were alone in your house just crying. Was
no,
nobody
no,
there to
I was live streaming it, so I was like, no, stop, what did I do?
Oh my gosh! At least you had your VTuber so they couldn't see the tears. I was like,
But
I was
like
like,
the thing is like because I mostly stream Hoyoverse games and all my chat plays Hoyoverse games, so they're all like, yeah, we just get ready to like cry at least once per update with any of these games.
I was gonna say, let us see the tears of the voice actor. That would have been nice. That could have been that would have been a good thing to see. I wouldn't see that, but
I
but
mean, my
hey,
character wasn't in that particular scene. It was but I was just playing through the game, and I think it was like Paimon and one of the other characters, and I was just like, "Oh, this is so sad," because I didn't know about that part, obviously, since my character wasn't in that little thing. So I was just like, "Oh."
I would say I'll tell you a couple of things. See, now you got me excited. I will say a couple of things. I have played a few games where it's been emotional for me. I just finished up playing, and I think it was like 3 weeks ago. I finished up playing Shadow Generations for the first time.
Oh,
When I get
fun.
when he got to that scene where Maria doesn't want to be frozen in place again, that got me emotional because I was like, "Oh my god, not again!" Shadow's been through a lot. He lost Maria in Sonic Adventure 2. You get to Sonic Generations 2024, he has to lose her again. He didn't want to go through that again.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with getting emotional because like good storytelling should make us emotional, right?
Hmm. And and people keep saying games are just for fun. But if y'all really pay attention to the storyline, you guys can understand. Like now, I'm really paying attention to the stories more often. All the
Mhm.
stories that I pay attention when I play Watch Dogs. I think you remember the game Watch Dogs, right? 2014. Aiden
I
Pierce.
haven't played that. I don't know too much about that.
You didn't play Watch Dogs?
No.
Oh, Kara, what you be playing?
Well, I'm also kind of particular about what types of games I end up going for.
You
So,
you got to play Watch Dogs, Kara.
what genre is it?
It's an action adventure shooter, rated M, of course.
Okay. That's
Talks
probably
about
why I'm usually terrible at those types of games.
I could teach you if you'll let me. No, but yes, I Watch Dogs in that scene where he had to tell his sister goodbye because he was the vigilante. I felt bad because now he had to send his family away after everything they've been through. So she didn't want to follow his brother anymore because now she knows what he really is.
Mm.
Vigilante. He's the vigilante. So he couldn't stop, and that's why he felt like at the end of that mission, I really felt bad for him when he said, "Nikki will never come back. I've driven her away from her home, away from me."
Yeah.
So it was a tough decision, but he had to make sure they were safe.
Hmm.
So and then you get to this. Listen, so many games that I played have emotional stories that just make me. Don't even get me started with Gears of War 3, where Dom had to sacrifice himself to save Marcus Phoenix and the others. That was no, don't die, don't do it. But I will
Some
tell you.
games. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I will tell you why he did it. Thing is, he felt the pain. Like he lost his wife in Gears of War 2 after the Locusts tortured his wife. And he just felt like, what's the point of all this war? He's lost everything. He wanted to be with his wife.
Yeah.
So
And sometimes games too will make the players make tough decisions. And then, just kind of like the outcome of that path or whatever is based on the decision the player makes. And sometimes it's like, oh, both these, like, none of these feel good.
no, they don't. Like, shoot, it's not gonna either way. There's gonna be some kind of emotional outcome coming out. It's like we don't want to make the choice, but we have to. Pretty much like this. It pretty much video games mirrors the same stuff that we're going through life too. So I think the more we pay attention to these new stories that are coming out, these new games coming out, it works. And yeah, even Sonic Frontiers taught me a few things.
Hmm.
I don't know if you play Sonic Frontiers. Ryan Bartley was actually Sage in that game.
Yeah, she's one of my good friends and she's so great. So I love getting to see her in that.
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff because Sonic Frontiers felt like it was an actual anime game too with Sonic. So I don't know if you played the game, but it's just really good stuff.
Yeah.
So, and listen, I am trying to catch up with Ryan Bartley. She was actually in Atlanta, back in my state, like I think it was like 3 months ago. I could not catch her because I was stuck in school.
Aw.
So, but as but Kira, you were probably you and the others voice actors. I'm saying, sorry, yeah, you and the other voice actors will probably tell me, stay in school, man. Don't worry about us.
Yeah, I
So,
mean, the thing is, like, anyone that you want to meet, there's always going to be another convention. So, I mean, some people do more. Some people do like 30 something a year. I usually do like between 20 to 25 conventions per year, and even that feels like a lot for me.
yeah. So, but I just got priorities. I'm sorry I can't catch most of you guys. You
No,
know,
I mean, school is a very good priority to have.
so
Conventions are
listen.
also expensive. Like, you have to pay for like the badge to get in the door. You have to pay for like however you're going to get to the event if you need to stay there. Just autographs are really expensive. Like I've had some stuff that I've gotten autographs from other people on of mine, and it can really add up quick.
Yep, money stuff too. Yeah, I'm back in school doing cybersecurity. I'll be done by Christmas.
Oh, nice. Well, good luck with that.
Yeah, I mean, I do like doing working with computers. So yeah, I'll be done by Christmas, and I'll probably because mostly because I know a lot of you guys because I know. Well, let me tell you a little something. Crunchyroll, well, no, Toei Animation when they were doing the Dragon Ball superhero movie, they had a network intrusion. And I just kind of figure, well, shoot, maybe someone as me doing cybersecurity, they might need someone who can like make sure all the systems are okay in those companies. But we'll see what fate has in store for me when I'm done.
Yeah.
So, um, next up is your favorite because the movie just came out. I will catch it. Okay, don't judge me.
Oh,
Um,
I'm not done.
Demon Slayer, Mitsuri Kanroji. Did I say it right?
Yeah,
Uh,
Mitsuri Kanroji, so very close.
uh, I was going to say you can punch me in the face if I get it wrong. Okay.
Oh, no,
Mitsuri
all
is
good.
Missouri is such a contrast. Missouri is such a contrast, joyful, loving, yet strong, as we've seen in some of the scenes we've seen over the last few years. How do you channel their emotional warmth while keeping their energy authentic and not overplayed?
Um, I think a lot of it is kind of just like feeling out the vibe and the style of the show because it really depends even for anime, because people tend to think anime, it's all got like one kind of style to the reads, right? But it's like, no, because anime is so diverse. So you could be working on a show that's like extremely gritty, maybe it's like a little bit more mature. It's got dealing with a lot of like it's like a very cinematic style of how the story is told. And in a show like that, you maybe want to approach it more almost like a film acting style read or something. Like obviously you have to fit flaps no matter what if it's anime, but kind of like there are some where it's like very very grounded, and then you have some where it's like really over the top. Like I was fortunate enough to get to do a few episodes of One Piece and like a small little kind of filler arc. And One Piece is a good example of a show where it's very big, stylized. The characters often, of course, there's like real moments and vulnerable moments, but the characters also get themselves into all these kind of ridiculous situations. And so, in contrast, on a show like that, you might have a little bit more leeway to like really go big
Yeah.
with what you're doing. Demon Slayer, I feel like, is somewhere in the middle. And it depends on the scene because, and also the character, honestly, because in the movie, I mean, obviously, Mitsuri didn't have a huge part, and I'll try to keep this free of any spoilers, but I feel like when she did show up, she was almost like comic relief in a little sense. Um, and just kind of like, because she's always just so like happy. I mean, she's not always happy, but you know what I mean? She's always like just at 100 with like, okay, so cool, because she's also like, I want a strong husband and stuff like that. So I feel like, because there's so many sad and heavy moments in that series, she is sort of like that ray of sunshine. And she is kind of the one, like, I feel like she kind of I don't know, she's like the friend that wants to keep everybody together, and like she really cares about her, like obviously she cares a lot about Tanjiro and Nezuko and Iguro and all of them really, but the thing is too, she's also very strong. Like she's not a pushover. If you mess with her or if you mess with someone that she cares about, then yeah, it's going to be a bad time. So I think that's actually really beautiful how her strength is displayed, like in the fact that she is a strong female character, but she's not afraid to show her enthusiasm. She's not afraid to be cute and romantic and girly and be like, yeah, let's eat all the food. Or, I love like how she is kind of like a big sister figure to Nezuko. I don't know, especially after what happened to the Kamado siblings so early in the series. It's just, I feel like the Demon Slayers got to stick together.
Oh man. So pretty much when it's like a good thing, it's all happy and joyous. But if you rub her the wrong way, she
Yeah.
will she oh my god, there's gonna be hell to pay.
Mm-hmm.
That is terrifying. Oh my gosh. Listen, don't like listen. Like I said before, it's like the character has two faces. One bad good side and a bad side. Oh my
Well, I mean, it's like she's a Hashira, so clearly she had to be like very, you have to have supreme physical strength in order to be a Hashira. But I feel like she wouldn't really ever use that for anything evil. It would more just be like, hey, this demon killed my friend, like we got to take him out or something like that.
wow. Oof. I'll make sure to stay out of her way then if I mess up.
Yeah, any Hashira, I don't think you want to get on their bad side.
Oh gosh. I'll be like, why me? No, he did it. He did it. Go get him. Go get him instead. I've seen so many people, and there's actually I had Anime Ink Con because they have the Anime Ink Con now where they do like anime tattoos and everything.
Oh yeah, I actually was a guest there, not this year, but the previous year.
Which one? Which one did you go to? Was it Virginia or
Yeah, the Richmond one.
Oh,
I didn't know there were
man.
multiple.
Yeah, there's one in my hometown now.
Wow.
I'm based in Savannah, Georgia.
Okay. That's
So
cool. I didn't know there was one there.
huh?
I didn't know that they had an Anime Inc. there.
They're adding more stuff. They added it this year. Yeah, they added it this year.
Well, that's cool.
Shoot, I listen. I tell you, I swear, every time when a convention comes out, I try to push for y'all to come this way. Who knows? Maybe I can mention your name for Anime Inc. Con next year in June because that's the next one they're gonna have here in Savannah.
Yeah,
So,
it's so hard because I'm already almost booked for cons for next year already. Because, yeah, it's because I get booked so quickly. A lot of these events, like sometimes they reach out a year in advance, and they're like, "Hey, we want to secure like these cast members or whatever." And I did actually go to Atlanta earlier. I mean, I don't know how far that is from Savannah, but I went to
yes,
Atlanta.
it's 4 hours.
Okay, so it is like a pretty.
By the way, I was in Atlanta when you were there, but I had to get my teeth cleaned.
Yeah, I went
So-
to MomoCon. That was
Yeah,
cool.
you were at MomoCon. I was there last year, but here's the thing: I was an amateur because I didn't have all my gear and equipment. Now I have so much equipment on me. I got a GoPro camera, I got microphones and everything. They saw me all checked out when I was trying to test it. Because the thing is, I actually recorded because thing is, I started a new video called Interactions with Voice Actors on my channel. I tagged the voice actor so many times on Instagram. Emily needs to recognize who I was when I walked in the door. Because here's the thing, I'd be doing my research and do the do's and don'ts. She'd like the stuff I've been doing, and I was like, well, looks like I got their attention. Listen, Kira, when I be trying to get y'all to come to these conventions, I try to get Maurizio and Kaylee Mills to come because they were in the Fort Myers movie. And listen, he was laughing when I talked to him up close. And among my previous episodes, I was like, I tell you, I'm just preaching to the choir.
Yeah.
That's all I'm doing. That's all I'm doing. I'm just preaching to the choir. So, but I'm guessing they're hearing my cries because now Emily Neves, I'm meeting her again next weekend. She's going to be in my hometown next weekend.
Oh, that's great.
And this is another convention along with Jade Saxton, Cara Edwards, and Mallory Rodak.
How cool.
I was like, I need to stop looking a gift horse in the mouth. So I'm guessing it's working.
Yeah. It never
So
hurts to put in a request for who you want to see.
even if they say they got everything planned out, I'm too stubborn to give up.
Well, yeah, and the thing is sometimes people cancel. Like somebody
And
gets sick or whatever, they have to like fill that spot.
of course. And like I said, if y'all can't make it, that's fine. I will catch y'all next time. It's not the end of the world. And listen, I gotta remember also, and I've been saying this as before, you guys are still human beings.
Well, yeah, I mean everybody's human beings. We hope.
Exactly. All right, we're at the end of that section. Now we're on section 3. We're getting close to the end because there's only 3 questions left. So, but you're ready. I know you
Mhm.
are. So, section 3, industry insight and representation. Now, you've been open about ups and downs of the industry. What do you think has changed for most women in voice acting since you started?
Oh, hmm. I don't know if I can think of anything necessarily that's like specific to women, but I feel like just in general the industry's changed a lot. Like the biggest thing is, well, I mean there's like a few different things, but the industry is way more competitive than when I first started. So I mean, it's always been hard to get into, but I feel especially bad for the people trying to get into it now because there's so many people, like literally thousands of people trying to do this. And how do you, I mean, it's so hard when the supply exceeds the demand. And I feel, to kind of get into another thing that's changed to an extent is I feel like because the supply exceeds the demand, it enables some companies, not all, but some, to take advantage because they can say, like, hey, I know that actors fought long and hard to establish like collective industry standards of pay, for example, but when there's a lot of actors desperate to work and a lot of people desperate to get in, if some companies decide to offer, and I'm not talking about like indie devs and stuff like that, because a lot of times like they're paying what they can afford, like they're doing their best and it's fair in that context. But if you have a big company that is trying to go under what people have established, and you have sites like Fiverr and things like that, which basically their whole like gimmick is, oh, you can get creative freelancers for dirt cheap, and it encourages people to undervalue and undersell their creative labor. It happens with artists. It happens with like a lot of people who are in creative fields. And then it's hard because when you say like, well, no, like I want to be paid the standard that has been collectively agreed upon or whatever, then it's like, okay, well then we'll get someone else who's willing to do it for next to nothing, so. And then the final thing is that unfortunately AI has changed things too, because obviously not every company is turning to AI. I don't think every company will turn to AI. There's always going to be a market for human emotion and performance and creativity. But it has just thrown a wrench in things because now not only do you have to worry about cheap clients, as mentioned, but cheap clients who are so cheap they don't even want to pay a human in the first place. They're like, yeah, let's just use like an algorithm made of other people's stolen content. That's fine, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's very interesting. And lately, if it wasn't like, because I know back in the day, thing is, I really couldn't do much because I was only a kid because I was born in 2000. But I know that as the early years of animation, there's been a lot of people trying to get in as much before, because back then there wasn't a lot of technology back then, Kira. There was like, you know, if I remember correctly, what Henry Dittme told me before in my earlier episodes, he told me we didn't have no social media. It was mostly message
Mhm.
boards. People were
Yeah.
mostly using message boards, and we just had to figure out how to navigate to using like the like modern early stages of technology. Because I know, because here's one thing I will say: if you pay attention, I'm about to geek out again in here. Have you seen like any of the '90s anime where it feels like, okay? Can I give you an example?
Sure.
Let's take Dragon Ball Z for example.
Mhm.
If you've been paying attention to some of the Capital Corporation's equipment and Frieza Forces equipment, that technology is like way off into the future stuff. Like they managed to take those shows and also Ghost in the Shell. They taken those shows and the technologies they have to make it look like this is what our future looks like with all this
I
interesting stuff.
miss like the 90s anime style. I think the animation just looked like it had such a cool look to it, and I don't know. It's not that like I don't like the modern stuff because a lot of the modern stuff looks really impressive as well, but I don't know, there's just something like so cool about the old style like you mentioned like DBZ and Sailor Moon and Ranma and a lot of those shows back in the day, and I would love to see kind of more of that style make a comeback.
It is possible. Like I said, the way things are going, it might be possible to bring that stuff back. Maybe the animation won't be the same thing. Like, listen, I know I've seen so many content creators. There's this one girl, it's the anime girl who has pink hair and everything. She has a retro TV in her room. And she was showing all the stuff that was like, oh, this is retro TV stuff. She was playing Sonic X, Pop-Puff Girls, Dragon Ball Z intro, etc. They were playing like all these classic old games and everything. Like the 90s is part of us. Like we like the 90s stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in the 90s, so a little bit before your time based on what you mentioned, but
I was born 2000. So like it's 2000 still had a little bit of 90s stuff in it.
yeah, for sure.
So I couldn't do nothing. I was just a baby. I couldn't do nothing. But but here's the thing. It all worked out. I mean, look at me now.
Yeah.
So no need to judge. And plus, you can always watch reruns. Like, do you know how many times I've watched Batman the Animated Series, Superman the Animated Series, Animaniacs? Animaniacs was good. I need to watch it again. The old
Hmm.
one. The old one, not the new one on Hulu.
Okay.
So, but yeah, those kind of style animation, yeah, it's a part of us. We can't let it go. We just can't. Because we've seen so many of these action pads and art. Because the artists who did those shows they did amazing stuff. I think maybe some of them won awards back in the day. I just don't know who it was.
Yeah.
So, but that's for me to find out. So, next question. You've inspired a generation of fans who grew up with your characters. Now, how do you handle being a role model while staying true to yourself as an artist?
Um, I wouldn't necessarily consider myself like a role model in that regard. I think what maybe resonated about what I did with a lot of these younger people is just the fact that I started on the internet and I started with indie projects and stuff like that. And, back in the day, it wasn't super common for people to do that and then eventually end up working in the industry. Like there was almost even kind of a stigma about it. Like you were told, oh, if you didn't come from like stage or screen, like you weren't like a real actor, whatever. But a lot of people, I think, maybe what resonated about what I did is just because they kind of felt like, well, then maybe they can do it too. Like if they started on the internet or, they started off in indie productions or making their own stuff that like, I guess it kind of gave like validity to that. And I think another big part of why maybe that resonated with some people too is because I do devote a lot of time that is completely voluntary. I don't make any money off of this, but I write a lot of free resources and guides for actors because I don't know, it's just like it's like information that I wish I had when I first started, and it's a lot of stuff that people ask me, and so it's easier to just point them to these articles and say like, "Oh, I actually went in depth on that here." And I don't know, just because I'd rather people spend their money on taking an acting class or getting a demo done and not spending money to have somebody who hasn't worked in 20 years tell them, "Oh, you need to burn a CD and mail it in to an agency, and then maybe you'll get in a cartoon or whatever." And that's like not like meant to be shade or anything. It's just kind of like I think there's a lot of ways that people spend their money, and there's no shortage of people looking to take your money, but sometimes the info isn't always up to date, or it's kind of like, well, you could have found that on the internet for free.
That's interesting. And I think the more because I know you've done like so many stuff. Like I said, every voice actor is more to y'all than just voice acting. Y'all find ways to still help people, stay inspired, because I know some of you guys actually do like acting classes now. Because I know Steve Bloom, he's teaching voice actors voice acting classes, and it's nice that you have mentors that you look up to get you to understand how this thing works, how to execute it, and know exactly what fans look when they start watching these shows. But yeah, mostly I think it's all just how can I word this? I think it's all mostly just listening and paying attention to what people might tell you may not expect it that other people couldn't tell you before. If I
Sorry,
can,
yeah, I can. Sorry, what? Can you explain, kind of what that means, or what you're thinking of with that?
yeah. Well, what I'm trying to say is there's so many people who like these characters and they feel inspired to be like, hey, I can be my own person doing like voice acting, but I just don't know how to like get started because
Yeah,
if if that makes sense. I know I should have worded it better. I was trying to do.
yeah.
That's why I
I
was
was just
like,
confused and trying to make sure that I understood what you're getting at.
yeah. So sometimes I'd be like, hey, how can I word this without making her confused?
All
but
good.
but yeah, this that's why I say because I know you said you don't see yourself as a role model, but I think you do in some way. I think you do feel like you've inspired people who watch your show to do amazing things.
I mean, I hope so, and I'm great. Like, I'm very glad if people can take that away from it. I just always caution because everybody's a human being and nobody's perfect, and so it's kind of, I don't know. I think it's good if people don't necessarily like idolize anyone or put them up on a pedestal or whatever. And just kind of, you can be like, oh, this person did a cool thing, or I am inspired by this or that, but also like, they're just people.
That's all right. Well, nobody's perfect. I think the best thing is to like listen. You're gonna make mistakes. It's inevitable. Like
Mhm.
I'm not perfect. You know how many times I made mistakes in my life, an infinite amount. It's we just gotta learn from these things, and
Yeah, I mean, that's everybody.
yes, everybody. And I made the mistake when I like I said when I was back in college. Here's the thing: my dad came at me and tell me, now don't forget, remember, when you were in school, you didn't want to do journalism, but look what I'm doing now.
Yeah, I mean, it happens.
I think it just clicks when it clicks. I know it took
Mhm.
me like 2 years to figure it out, but now I like doing it. So in some way, I think I kind of inspire myself by understanding what I had to go through and the steps I had to take to get to where I am today. Still
Yeah,
listen, even as I'm getting older, I'm still learning stuff.
of course, we all are.
We're at the end here. Sorry if I hope I didn't mess you up on the
No,
last
no, you're
question.
all good.
So, like I said, please let me know about myself. Um, Section 4. This is the finale. Life advice and conclusion.
Okay.
Now, for those dreaming of voice acting careers, what's your best piece of advice? Not just about technique, but also sustaining creativity and self worth in the process.
Oh, okay. Um, so I feel like there's kind of going to be two parts then in that case, because the practical advice, and this is going to be what everybody tells you. I'm sure everyone you interview says the same thing here or some variation of it, but it's that it's all about the acting. It's all about believability and authenticity. So I see so many people, and I made this mistake early on when I first wanted to do this. A lot of people do. So it's like nothing wrong with it, but so often people really, really focus on the voice and they say, well, I can do these great impressions. I can sound like these characters. I can make my voice sound all certain ways, or I've been told I have a great voice or funny voice or whatever. And that's cool. Like obviously vocal print does play a factor in casting, and if you have a range, like I am a range actor, so it does help with if they just need someone to fill in like a whole bunch of different characters in the background or whatever. But what is going to get you cast is not having a good voice or being able to sound like an exist. I mean, obviously, like once in a while there's voice match jobs, but it's pretty rare, right? So, it's not going to be like, oh, I can sound like Goku or Vegeta, or I can do impressions from Family Guy. There's nothing wrong with that. It can be a great tool to learn. But what's going to get you hired is, can you believably portray this character with the information in the script that you're given? And then to answer kind of the second part of it, like in terms of, I guess maybe the more like mental or emotional side of it, I think it's to, and this is very hard, admittedly, but to try not to let the idea of success and the perception of success define your happiness. I know that's so much easier said than done, but the thing is, especially in the age of social media, everybody, like in any creative field, because we see this with streaming too, with cosplay, like with whatever you try to do, music, art, whatever, you are always going to compare yourself to other people and say, well, this person is like so much more successful and they haven't been doing it as long, or they didn't do this or this, or like I worked harder, why am I not doing this? Why am I not getting this thing? And it's like, well, because one, life isn't fair. We all got to just come to terms with that. And two, you don't know what their journey is behind the scenes. So somebody could post all like, sometimes you see it with actors, for example. They post all the time about like, oh, I'm just my career is so great. I'm so grateful. I'm just working all the time. I'm so busy, on and on and on. And it sometimes makes other people feel bad because they're like, well, clearly I'm doing something wrong because my life isn't like that. But then if you see those people like in real life or something, they might be like, yeah, I'm really like frustrated. I'm insecure about not booking enough. And they're posting things like that because they want to seem like they have it all together. They want casting directors or clients to see that and be like, oh yeah, like this person is clearly working all the time because they're posting about it. But another thing too, that people who are working all the time are often too busy to be posting about how much they're working. So, so it's like a lot of like kind of social media and that kind of stuff. It's not always real.
It's not always real. And yeah, this and it's hard to compare to other people. Like some people will compare to themselves. I was like, why don't you just be like? I tell people, don't try so hard to be something that you're not. I learned that when I was 15 years old, trying to find my way through high school. I was trying so hard to be something that I'm not.
Yeah.
Kira, I will tell you one thing. When I was like, because thing is, also in school, I also do photography.
Mm.
But I stopped after a little incident in April. It didn't work out. It was a bad fallout. I
Oh,
just
I'm
I
sorry to
just
hear that.
I think what happened was I was just so focused on just taking pictures. I just didn't understand the context behind what I was doing it. So I just put it back on the shelf for now until I can figure out what to do about it. But for now, I'm just talking to you guys. And I think it's nice that I picked this up because I want to have like these genuine conversations with you guys. I understand your life experiences and perspectives. Not can just help me, but help someone who else is listening. If you understand,
Yeah.
it's tricky, and that's why I don't like. I know, like thing is, my goal of this is like whole show I've been doing. That's why it's not just, an anime. Of course, listen, I want to talk about anime, of course, Kira. Don't get me wrong, I do. You can see me with the shirts and the stuff I have, but I also want to talk about life in general.
Okay.
So just keep it simple, and I think we're at the end here, but I just want to ask you if you enjoyed the questions I threw at you.
Sure. Yeah. Always appreciate, like, I really like getting into things like acting philosophy and stuff like that. So that's
Yes.
always fun.
Hey, listen, I always ask my guests if they enjoyed themselves before we wrap it up. And
Sure.
I think you enjoyed our conversation.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
So I say let's just keep the train rolling. And listen, things like I said, as we keep focusing on what we have to do, everything's gonna work out. Just gotta stay focused.
Yeah.